From November 14th to 21st, we're inviting you to join us for a powerful trip to Ghana. This isn't just a vacation. This is a chance to walk through the same places where many of our people were captured, held, and shipped off into slavery. So don't wait. Secure your spot today. We're making history by walking through it. Will you be with us?
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you come in, be sure to come in giving us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. That way others will know that we're here, and for that we say thank you so very much. Family, I am just, to be honest with you, I have been just tickled with the continued fallout and the response to these DEI policies that have just gone into overdrive since Trump has ascended into power in these United States of America. Now, DEI, for those of you that are unfamiliar, is about diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI is a policy that's implemented throughout government for parity amongst Black folks and those in the United States they consider to be people of color. That's not a term that we tend to appreciate as foundational Black Americans, because they use it as a catch-all term so that they'll let everybody else in who's not really deserving, and those that have not endured chattel slavery, Jim Crow, convict leasing, sharecropping, and other forms of codified, legalized policies, rules, regulations, that systems and institutions that were set up to discriminate against Black folks. So this is what we need you all to understand. In America, when we're talking about white supremacy, we know that white supremacy is not just about a white person individually per se. It's about white systems, white institutions. Do you understand? Which means that they can be operated by Black looking people and other groups. Yes? White supremacy can still be effective no matter who's managing it. I just said something right there. Let me hit my gavel on that. Now, with that being said, Trump has gotten in there and made all these changes, talking about DEI's got to go through government. There are demands that are made on corporations and other companies now, where white folks in particular are trying to pretend like they're being discriminated against because a Black person is being considered for a job position. They're trying to say, well, all people that's qualified should be the ones to get these jobs and positions and stuff. Of course, we know that that's a trick. How many of y'all know I love to read from this book called How White Folks Got So Rich? And the reason why I read from that book, even though you get this information and many, many resources, historical resources in the United States, about the United States, foundational Black Americans in particular in the U.S., it's a mini book, and it's concise, just to give you a brief overview of just some of the many policies, rules, regulations, and statutes, procedures, and cultural demands and traditions that were in place both on a local, state, and federal level to discriminate against Black people. So for those of you that trip out about somebody just calling you the N-word or calling you out your name, no, baby, we're saying systems, rules, and regulations are in place that are rigged to sabotage our growth and success. Do you understand? In that book, How White Folks Got So Rich, it's called that, how white folks got so rich, because white folks did not work hard in America. In fact, they were hardly working. You don't get credit for how well you stole and unalived masses of people and set them on fire and hung them from trees and blew up black towns and cities. And then now that you done got leveled up, you tell black folks to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. If you don't get your money looking self out of here. Now, I done said that. The latest of the fallout is how the public has been responding. Now, how many of you all know there's been a big boycott against Target because Target decided that it was going to fall in line with pulling back some of its DEI policies of fairness. And so Target has lost so much money over the past few months because black folks in particular have stopped shopping there, right? So how many of y'all know after that, Reverend Al Sharpton ends up getting on the phone with the executive from Target. He twitched his hips and hair. But I think he's vegan or something. Now, what's the other word? Not vegan, but whatever that other word is where y'all be restricting your food. He's something another job. But anyway, seems like since Al Sharpton lost that weight and stuff and start, getting in shape, seemed like he done lost his mind, which I encourage him. He needs to go back to eating fried chicken. He needs to go back to munching on cornbread because it seems like he was more balanced and righteous when he was eating like that. Now, I say that because he went to Target after a lot of black folks were saying, hey, we've been effective in our boycott against Target. So Reverend Al Sharpton goes there, does a whole press conference and everything, right? Talking about their meeting with them and how they're going to continue to keep them accountable. Watch this. And then Reverend Al Sharpton had the nerve to put out a statement that he was going to inform other friends like Pastor Jamal Bryant about it. Well, when you say something like that in a press release, that you're going to tell your other friends like Pastor Jamal Bryant about these efforts and update him on his conversation, one would think when you say you're going to let your buddy know, your friends know, you would have the idea that Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant, wasn't in on the meeting, right? Well, if you saw my coverage here, right here on African Diaspora News channel, I want you to go back and look at it. Yes, you will see, family, where I read from a report that showed, dear family, that Pastor Jamal Bryant was sitting there in the meeting. Did y'all hear what I said right there? He just didn't want to be shown ostensibly in the public photo with Target because I'm sure he concluded that would not be a good look and it would give the impression that the boycott was over, that everything was well. So Reverend Al Sharpton got a lot of backlash about that. I brought that up to not only expose Reverend Al Sharpton for being a fraud, because even a lot of the other fellow boulets and bootlegs was mad at him for that. But I explained the fact that, of course, Reverend Al Sharpton has always been about that ratty life. The sellout, ambulance chasing life. He's always been like that for many years. Maybe 2 or 3 years at the beginning of his career, he was okay. First few years, he was conscious a little bit, and then he lost his mind, in my opinion. But I exposed Pastor Jamal Bryant because he allowed him, meaning Reverend Al Sharpton, to give the impression that he wasn't even anywhere in the building and wasn't in on it. So to me, I was looking at Pastor Jamal Bryant as suspect in the first place. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, I want you to get ready to look at this that just came out today. I want you to watch this Instagram post that Pastor Jamal Bryant just put up today, where he's big mad about this Target boycott. So Jamal Bryant done double down on the Target stuff. Now he's got a new target in mind. And look, pun intended. In other words, he's, in addition to Target, he wants to include Dollar General. I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But before I do, Pastor Jamal Bryant, he's big mad at Cardi B. Y'all, I'm gonna try to keep it together right now. Now, I hope you all can see this. By the way, family, so the team, hopefully y'all can put that post up. I want y'all to look at this. So you know I'm not making it up, child. This is hilarious to me. Look screenshot from Pastor Jamal Bryant. He's really mad at Cardi B right now. Everybody, please hit that thumbs up button and share. Sometimes the notifications don't go out, family, so be sure to look for me, especially Tuesday through Thursdays here at 2 p.m. Eastern on African Diaspora News Channel, okay? So y'all look for me. Everybody hit that thumbs up button, share. That way notifications are sent out to other people, because a lot of times the notifications don't go out. Now, on the screen, I hope you can see what I have on the screen right now. Yes? Family, Pastor Jamal Bryant wants us to believe that he's such a revolutionary now because he's keeping up the DEI boycott with Target. Okay, fine. Let's hold corporations accountable for not supporting Black people. But family, DEI is a catch-all for any and everybody that's not just Black. So that's a problem that I do have with that. But I'm going to explain another issue that I have in a minute. Watch this. So you may not be able to see it. I'm going to read to you what it says. Do y'all see that picture on the screen? Family, that picture that you're looking at that's posted on the screen right now is Cardi B at Target, baby. Looks like she got the little baby in the cart, and then she got a little a stroller and stuff. She got a harrow and stuff with a little pink bag, and she got a cell phone in the mirror. Like, you know how we girls like to do. Sometimes we take a little screenshots and stuff. So she wants us to feel like she's one of us and that she's at Target, baby. And how many of y'all know the picture is an advertisement and it speaks volumes, right? So in the middle of Black folks in different parts, not everybody, but Black folks boycotting Target, she goes out publicly. Of course, the reason why this is important is not because she's necessarily a fantastic artist or because she stands for righteousness or she's good in any deep, real way. In some ways, she probably is. I'm not here to judge that lady on that. What I'm saying is she has a large platform on social media, and that's the point. Well, she posts this. Watch this. This was put out, I should say. Right next to that is what Pastor Jamal Bryant said. Look what he said. Y'all, I'm going to try to keep it together, okay? Are y'all listening? So on the screen, you should see a picture of Cardi at Target with the babies and stuff. Then I want you to listen to what he said in response. Here we go. Okay, let me get this tag together. Okay, yes. Here we go. Now I can see it. Okay, this is Jamal Bryant posts this image of Cardi B at Target and says this to her. Dear, I am Cardi B. Grace and peace to you. I come to you with a chest full of love. Vicki, please stop laughing. Over the past couple of months, there has been a national boycott against Target because they betrayed our community by dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion. African Americans have spent $12 million a day, and yet they don't see us as a viable partner. We've asked them to invest in Black banks, Black colleges, and Black communities, and under pressure from the administration, they haven't felt compelled to even respond. Our unified movement of churches and grassroots organizations has led to a drop in their stock, a reduction of foot traffic, a reduction of their valuation, and a slashing of the CEO's salary. Last, we collectively have canceled Target because we don't think patronizing them is the best for our community. Y'all ready for this? Y'all listen. Here's all the smoke. Somebody put some smoke in, some wind and some smoke in the chat. Here's Pastor Jamal's smoke for Cardi. He said, when I saw you post a picture of you and your beautiful family in the store, I felt certain that with your million following, no, let me go back here. Hold on. I felt certain that with your demanding schedule, that's where I was at. Okay, you were probably unaware. Y'all ready? Having 163 million, I knew that was wrong when I said million. Having 163 million following you is a great deal of influence, and many follow your lead. I hope you will visit targetfast.org and walk alongside us. Y'all listen to this part. Y'all listening? I'm fully aware that you identify as Latino. Ooh, he really throwing all the gas out there, ain't it? He says, I'm fully aware that you identify as Latino and that you have children that represent both communities. And to that end, you should know that the movement has support as well as buy-in from the Latino community and more specifically workers. Your presence to be a part of the most effective boycott in 70 years since the Montgomery bus boycott. In the words of Martin Luther King, a person who doesn't stand for something will fall for anything. Family, Family. Family. Y'all see that? Y'all see that up there? Family. 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 Pastor Jamal Bryant sat there and used his platform to call out Cardi B. He talks about her 163 million followers, which of course he says is a lot of influence. He told her, I'm sure you didn't know about the boycott, but I'm letting you know. And then he had the nerve to sit there and acknowledge the fact that she identifies as Latino, but he says, but your babies have a part of the Black community too. And then he says, quotes Martin Luther King, family, 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 family. Let me tell y'all something. I do believe that many companies should be boycotted when it comes down to the Black dollar. But as you can see, Pastor Jamal Bryant, what he's doing there, as well as others, they're amalgamating, putting social cocktails of other groups in there too. And yes, I'm not going to lie, in some instances, these DEI policies are negatively affecting Black folks. But family, overall, in the largest sense, it's other people groups that are being hit in the head. And I just don't think that we should be the ones on the front lines that's making sure that they continue to get all the benefits and all the work and labor and sweat. But more importantly, why is it now that not only is he making Target the continued target, pun intended there, but now he's telling the world he's finna go after Dollar General. Don't take my word for it. Can the team get ready to put up this very brief clip? It's a video clip of coverage on Dr. Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant's intention to now include Dollar General in this boycott. Now, I know some of you all are like, well, Vicki, what's wrong with that? I just told you, in part, I'm for boycotting certain groups. But in this instance, family, I'm trying to tell you that it's a catch-all and other people groups are really disproportionately benefiting from us boycotting them. As you see him there, he's amalgamating the Latinos, he's talking about Latino workers, other groups. And how many of you all know DEI includes white women? It includes a whole bunch of other subgroups. But that's not my only issue. I'm going to talk about it in just a moment. But let me show you his latest situation. Now, before I do that, don't y'all think it's something now that he would throw out the fact that she's Latino? Now, how many of y'all know the moment Black folks, those of us, were sitting there called on the Latino community to come assist us in our struggle? And as soon as ICE start raiding and knocking on doors, they want to come to us and blame Black folks for why ICE is raiding them. I'm trying to see where Dr. Jamal Bryant is on that. They would tell us, oh, don't disrespect other communities. They are brothers and sisters. But now he feels the need, under the banner of his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, to talk about, well, you Latino. Y'all know he was throwing shade. That wasn't really no shade. That was number sunshine. So I'm just trying to say they break their own rules of social, quote unquote, disrespect. But when we say, well, what about other illegals coming to the country, getting our benefits? Their voices are not raised like that. He don't seem to have a problem with the economic benefits that these other groups are getting that are violating federal law to get here. But he had the nerve to bring up the fact that she Latino in this instance. Don't y'all think that's interesting? Nevertheless, I want y'all to get ready to watch this clip. Are we ready to post that video clip, team? I want us to get ready to watch this brief clip of now he's getting ready to target Dollar General, y'all. I find this fascinating.
We've given a full cancellation of Target.
Now, Pastor Dr. Jamal Bryant has launched a new boycott. The focus, Dollar General stores. He's calling for either an electronic or physical boycott of the store from Memorial Day until Labor Day.
We're asking people to call, to email, and to post on social media if that is their only option. If they're in other areas, we're asking them to walk away.
Much like the reasoning behind the Target boycott, which is still impacting sales and foot traffic at the retail giant, the Dollar General boycott centers around diversity, equity, and inclusion policies.
Only 2% of their executives are people of color. They get somewhere in the orbit of $40 billion a year in profit, and yet they have never given to a HBCU, never given to an organization, or given to a black movement.
I reached out to Dollar General. A spokesperson wrote in part, quote, "Our mission is not serving some others. It is simply serving others. We are proud to serve millions of Americans from all backgrounds and walks of life in our 20,500 plus stores."
What is your ask of Dollar General?
We're asking in several things. One is a revisitation of diversity, equity, inclusion, that there will be a partnership with black farmers and black vendors, and that there will be an investment into the black community.
Okay, family. So did you all hear that? Okay, did you hear that? So he is saying they want us to continue to let this stuff keep going. He's talking about the Memorial Day and the Labor Day time frame that he wants now for black folks to target, in particular, Dollar General as well. Now, you heard a lot of it right there in that clip, but I'm just going to read you a little bit more of this. It says that when the Channel 2's Audrey Washington said, "What is your ask?" He says, "We're asking several things. One is a revisitation of diversity, equity, and inclusion that will be in partnership with black farmers and vendors, and that there will be an investment into the black community." Bryant said he hopes the Dollar General boycott will pressure executives and shareholders to change course. Now, it goes on to say that this is what we are calling the summer of discontent, Bryant said. He said, Pastor Bryant has called it the summer of discontent. We're asking people to call, email, and post on social media. You heard him say that a little bit in the clip. If that is their only option, if they are in areas, and if they are in other areas, we're asking them to walk away. Okay, y'all heard the little bit about what Dollar General is saying, and they're making it clear. Forget y'all. He's giving their little threat, a big fat Dollar General, you know what, finger. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, Vicki, what is the issue? Well, here's my thing, and I'm going to keep it short and to the point, family. I'm going to keep it short and to the point. And I want y'all to look at me real, real good, okay? Come close to the screen. The issue that I have with Pastor Jamal Bryant is that he brought in Kamala Harris. He brought in a lot of these Democrat shills. And he and other of his little fellow bishops and reverends and apostles and prophets and evangelists and teachers in that whole fivefold ministry cliques. The issue that I have with them is that they don't have this kind of energy with the root of black economic issues. Somebody say the root. I don't understand the train of thinking, how to train your mental trains, how the boulets and the black looking groups like him, how your mind doesn't stay on an intelligent track of thinking. How do you get into a mental train wreck when you pretend like you don't understand the severe impact that the lack of reparations to foundational black Americans have had in all of these areas? I don't understand how you hear the bullet screaming about these individual contracts, these individual corporations, these individual businesses, and these individual little boycotts and stuff. But they don't have this kind of energy. Watch this, organization or call and demand of the Democrat Party and the Republican Party and the United States government to cut the check. How can you say you recognize the inequality with individual companies and corporations? You spend that energy to organize with these other groups to make it a real issue, to have a real impact, but he didn't do that when it came down to us not voting for the Democrat Party and putting pressure on the Kamala Harrises of the world to say, we'll vote for you if you cut the check. Why didn't they do that for that economic issue? Do you all understand that when you just pluck off and make issue one little bit of fruit from the tree, you're not dealing with the root of the issue. How many of you all know that by making reparations the top issue, we automatically deal with some of the social ills like crime, like even domestic issues, like education issues, like health disparities? Redlining issues, and so much more. I'm here to tell you that the Pastor Jamal Bryant, in my opinion, and others like him, are little weak, scared to death Negroes who want to go after target type groups because they don't want to deal with the real oppressor and adversary. They also don't want to lose their little place with the White House and the little Republicans, the little Democrats and stuff. So they know that if they call for reparations and make that same demand to abstain from dealing with the Democrat Party until they use every bit, every ounce of their leverage and influence to make a reality our demand for reparations for foundational Black Americans in this country. He don't want to lose the ability to say to Kamala Harris' campaign and the Democrats' campaigns, come to my church and speak. Eat our chicken. Put on a choir roll with us. Hold our hands. And sing Amazing Grace. No, we're going to let the Democrats off the hook. We're going to let the Republicans off the hook. We're going to let the U.S. government off the hook. By not dealing with the big fat elephant in the room and organize and make the exact same demands of the Democrat Party, of the Republican Party, and of the U.S. government. That's my issue with this. It's at the place where it can make the most impact across the board for the masses of Black folks. And that would certainly send a major signal to every major corporation and business and entity in this country, would be the demand for reparations. I'm going to say this and I'm going to go. I'm reading from page 74 from this book that I always read from about how white folks got so rich. Why am I reading this quote? I'm going to read a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King that many of you all have heard me quote many, many, many times. Why am I doing that? Because Pastor Jamal Bryant had the nerve to invoke Dr. Martin Luther King's quote about standing. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything at the end of his little raid against Cardi B. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, if we ask him to call out Kamala Harris and tag Kamala Harris for saying, no, I won't do nothing for Black folks. Where is Pastor Jamal on that? I'm going to read this quote and I'm out of here. On page, what did I say? Yeah, on page 74. This is a section that's talking about the injustices of the Black farmers. How many of y'all know that Pastor Jamal Bryant mentioned the farmers in his post there too against Cardi? Watch this. Since he said all that, I thought it was appropriate for me to tell him, this is the quote you need to have in your mind about Dr. King, Pastor Jamal. One more thing. In that quote, he also said that the boycott that they've been doing is the most successful one since the Montgomery boycott 70 years ago, right? Well, before Dr. King got out of here, Pastor Jamal, he wasn't talking about just no one individual boycott anymore. Guess what his emphasis was on, y'all? Reparations. Somebody say, prove it, Vicki. I will. Listen to this quote. In 1968, he spoke at a rural Mississippi church and put land front and center, actual tangibles, y'all, right? At the very same, I'm quoting Dr. King now, quote, at the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Y'all listen. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm. And they are the very people telling the Black man that he ought to lift himself up by his own bootstraps. This is what we're faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this, he was talking about the Poor People's Campaign. What did you say, Dr. King? Quote again. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we're coming to get our check. I thought I would end the show on that. So since he had the nerve to invoke Dr. King, since he had the nerve to talk about it's the most successful boycott since the Montgomery boycott, since he wants to sit here and talk about all of this stuff related to individual companies, okay, fine, that's good to a degree. But I'm calling out the hypocrisy and the waste of energy and organization and impact that he and others like him are putting into one individual company when we can be making this very demand of the U.S. government and its political parties to cut the check for the masses of Black people. I can't wait to see what you have to say about it below. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. I'm normally here Tuesday through Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern. I can't